Welcome to the Explainer. So if you use Claude Code to power through your daily development tasks, you already know it is an absolutely incredible tool. But if you've been keeping an eye on your API usage, you've probably felt that familiar sting, right? The longer your coding session goes on, the more ridiculously expensive your token bill gets. It is pretty much a universal developer pain point right now. Well, today we are looking at how a new plugin called WOZCODE aims to solve this exact compounding cost problem. We're going to explore how it automatically swaps out default tools for batch context-efficient alternatives, examine the architectural changes it actually makes under the hood, and walk through exactly how to set it up. Okay, let's just dive right in with our roadmap. First, we'll establish the core problem, the cost of context. Then, we'll introduce the WOZCODE plugin and peek at batched versus sequential execution. After that, we'll hit the benchmarks, walk through the setup, and wrap up with the key limitations you definitely need to know about. All right, section 1, the cost of context, and why your coding sessions just keep getting more expensive over time. Now, to really appreciate the solution here, we first have to understand the hurdle. Why on earth do later prompts in a single Claude Code session cost so much more than the first few? While vanilla Claude Code is phenomenal at navigating your repo and writing features, its defaults, generic file tools, inadvertently create a massive compounding cost issue the longer you work. It all boils down to this thing called context bloat. Basically, this is the compounding accumulation of intermediate tool outputs filling up your context window. Think about it. Every single time Claude searches for something, reads a file, or confirms an edit, bam, that output is permanently added to your session history. And because all of that prior tool output stays right there in the context window, you are paying input token costs on literally everything that happened earlier in the session. By your 30th prompt, you are paying input token costs for the tool outputs of the previous 29 prompts. It adds up incredibly fast. Moving on to section 2, introducing the WOZCODE plugin. This is an architectural swap designed specifically for context efficiency. So this isn't just some surface-level UI tweak, right? It's a fundamental replacement. WOZCODE completely swaps out Claude Code's built-in file tools with batched, highly optimized alternatives that are explicitly designed to reduce token usage per task. And honestly, the best part? It happens completely behind the scenes. You don't have to learn any new syntax. You just prompt exactly like you normally would while the tools are substituted automatically. Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is the dual agent architecture running the whole show. Instead of just relying on one generic agent to do literally everything, WOZCODE gives you two. First, you have WOZCODE, which handles all your main coding, editing, search, and SQL operations. But behind the scenes, it automatically delegates tasks to WOZExplore. This is a specialized subagent built specifically for fast read-only code-based exploration. And get this, it actually runs on the much cheaper Haiku model. That saves you from spinning up heavier, more expensive models just to look around your files. It's a surprisingly clever architectural choice. Section 3, batched versus sequential execution. Let's look at the actual mechanical difference under the hood. This comparison brilliantly illustrates exactly how the savings are generated. Let's say you give vanilla Claude Code a fairly standard task like find and edit 3 files. That's going to trigger roughly 12 sequential tool calls, searching to find them, reading to load them, making the edits, and then verifying. All of that back and forth output severely bloats your context window. But with WOZCODE, that exact same task collapses into just 2 batched calls, 1 batched search and 1 batched edit. It's pretty simple math. Fewer tool calls directly equals less context bloat. All right, section 4, benchmarks and estimated savings. Let's measure the actual impact on your token bill. Now, to be completely objective here, these are self-reported benchmarks straight from the Woz team's Terminal Bench 2.0 runs, but they claim an up to 55% cost reduction because replacing those dozens of sequential calls with batched execution keeps the context windows so much smaller, you simply pay for far, far fewer input tokens on every subsequent step of your coding session. On top of that massive cost reduction, they also report up to a 40% improvement in task speed. Fewer round trips between the AI model and your local file system means you aren't just saving tokens, you are saving actual waiting time. It's a compound benefit that really helps keep you in that developer flow state. But hey, you don't have to just take their marketing numbers at face value. You can actually verify these claims on your own codebase. By running the /woz benchmark command, you can execute a side-by-side cost comparison of WOZCODE versus vanilla Claude Code right there in your repo. And once you're actively up and running with it, the /woz savings command gives you a personalized estimated report tracking your round trips, time, tokens, and cost. Section 5, installation and setup.
getting started in under a minute.
If you want to test this out yourself, the process is incredibly fast. It's really just 2 install commands. First, run the command to add the plugin to your marketplace. Second, run the command to install the plugin. Third, and this is absolutely crucial, do not skip this, quit and restart your Claude Code session. Finally, run /wozlogin to authenticate. Note that this requires a Woz account, and it'll pop open a quick browser window to log you in.
So, how do you know it actually worked? Once you've restarted and logged in, just look for the little WOZCODE badge right next to your text input field. Seeing that badge is your visual guarantee that the optimized agent is active and successfully routing your requests. It's also worth noting how flexible it is. It works right out of the box in your standard terminal CLI, but it also integrates perfectly with Claude Code Desktop, supports the VS Code and cursor extensions, and even connects to external tools like Conductor and Superset. It is essentially built to go wherever your workflow takes you.
Bringing us to our final section, number 6, key limitations to know. Let's talk about the caveats and trade-offs. As with any tool that modifies your core development environment, there are some very real trade-offs to consider here. First off, a Woz account login is strictly mandatory. There is no offline or credential-free mode. Second, if you're in a headless or SSH environment where a browser can't just pop open, you will have to manually copy and paste your auth token. Third, be aware that on your first login, the plugin automatically overwrites Claude Code's default co-authored by git commit attribution to its own. You can explicitly disable that via settings, but it happens by default. And lastly, just remember again that those impressive benchmark metrics are entirely self-reported by Woz.
Which leaves us with one final thought-provoking question. How will you balance privacy, convenience, and token costs in your AI coding workflows going forward? WOZCODE offers a genuinely brilliant mechanical solution to context bloat, but it does require buying into an account ecosystem to unlock those savings. It's definitely a fascinating trade-off for any focused developer to consider. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will catch you in the next one.